What's up, y'all? This is going to be my 600th video. It's called If I Be Myself, I'll Be By Myself. Anyone ever feel that way? Male, female, everything in between, X, millennial, whatever. You feel that, you do the things you want to do, you believe in what you want to believe, and it seems to alienate people. It seems to completely be almost counterproductive. And a lot of times we're told, we have to compromise, but do we really? Do we really? I know I have a few friends, very few friends, maybe even two. We we don't, our inclination is generally the same, but we and everything in between is different, so we don't see it eye to eye. But they don't relent and I don't relent, and that's a respect right there. And I know that I've known friends that had those relationships. They're still married and stuff. Yeah, there may be some turbulence here and there, as there is, but in the day and age where, that is a form of conformity, is, in this whole cancel culture, or everything is, it's just like, people are afraid to say, not necessarily, you shouldn't always say what's on your mind. I'm not saying that, but just to say the truth when it's there, when it needs to be presented. And so you end up alienated, alone. When you be yourself, you want to do, when you do what you want to do and not what someone else wants to do, you end up being alone. And again, there, in relationships, friendships, there might have to be some compromises, but then there's times where there's not. There's certain things, there's certain past relationships I had where they wanted me to go to a bar and just sit there while everyone else drank. That wasn't good and appropriate for me. They didn't understand that. That was a boundary that I set. There's clear boundaries that you should not compromise on. And that's not a bad thing, y'all. Any generation. If you want to get off work, you want to go to the gym, you want to play guitar, you want to make videos, do that. If all your responsibilities have been taken care of. If there's stop If you're in a relationship and you basically feel like you have to observe and report, that's not a good relationship, and you shouldn't be in that situation right there. I just really thought really hard about this for the past few days of, again, if I be myself, I'll be by myself. And I don't think that's true. You just got to find your tribe, and everyone has a tribe out there. And it's not like they're going to, again, not everyone, we're not going to be, you got to be diplomatic, pragmatic, and understand everyone's different, different upbringings, different perceptions, different traumas, right? Okay. So, what is the solution? Solution isn't them. The solution isn't you, or it is you, but the solution in my case is me. I have to have an I have to have standards. People lack standards these days and what they will and won't tolerate. They may have it on a micro scale, but a macro scale they have no idea. And it took me years to understand that too, what I'm willing and not willing to do. And when there's certain things I'm not willing to do, people are going to have they're going to have a label, certain terminology about it, and then you would be best not to engage and try to advocate for yourself and prove that that's not true, because what's the point? What's the point of arguing? A righteous person should never have to argue their point or argue where their stance is. If you're in a friendship or relationship and you state that just so someone understands and they still don't get it, then you might want to look for some new friends in relationships. I think it's really, 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 like, prudent right now more than ever, that with this just whole consumerism, this whole falsivity that's going on, that we need to start being more focused on ourselves and our, I hate to use the term wants and needs, but also know the difference between a want and need, right? All right. So that goes into the topic of self-care. All right. So, everyone talks about self-care. I'm going to tell you things that I thought were self-care. Oh, Well, I just worked 60 hours this week. Good job, buddy. My self care in the past was drinking myself to oblivion and grilling out. One of those things was okay, the other wasn't, and that's obvious, right? And so, whatever you're doing, I look at it this way. You got to ask yourself too, when it's concerned people or yourself, is what I'm doing, is it self care, self indulgence, or self destruction, right? So, what's the difference? Okay, so when you're going out drinking, let's say you're not like me, you don't have a problem of excessiveness, and you just have a few, whatever. Okay, let's not call that self care. Let's call that self indulgence. And there's nothing wrong in any aspect of indulging once in a while. Going shopping. Okay. I'm buying a new shirt. Okay. Do you have any other shirts or pants? Yes. Okay. So that's not self care. That's self indulgence. Again, I'm not dogging it. Going out into the bar and getting oblivious and having hookups. That's self destructive. It's very few where they convolute together. Self care is doing something that's productive, going for a walk, meditating, spending time with God, eating a good meal, healthy meal, not a overly rich meal. Low the difference. And I know this is like a rant or whatever, but I swear to God, younger people, or whatever, if you learn the difference in asking yourself that when you do something, you'll save a lot of finance, a lot of health, and a lot of heartache. Okay. So, again, my 600th video. I'm pretty proud about that. That's something that means that I have dedicated myself to something and continued it. And I'm glad I have not monetized. I've only been doing this for 8 months, and then I took a 3 month period anyway off for just whatever. And it's something I'm committing to. There's very few things I've committed to pretty well and fully. Guitar, maybe this, and just continually learning. Those are things that I've committed to most of my life, and I've rendered results from it. But it doesn't matter if I do. I have few people that engage. I like doing the shorts videos, just showing what I'm doing at work or on my day off, showing you if what I'm doing is self-indulgent or self-care, right? I'm not gonna if I was to do something self-destructive, I certainly would not broadcast it on the internet. That would be selfish. I wouldn't want to reinforce anyone else if anyone else actually looked up to me. And yeah, consistency, y'all. This is just the kind of everywhere message, but be consistent. I mean, this is a free platform, so it's not like I'm not doing any crazy. Maybe someday I will do some videos, of where I edit and stuff and change the scenery instead of out of my car. But for now, it's okay. I'm okay. I did it finally upgrade my phone and actually got a microphone because someone left in a comment once like I could barely hear you, dude, and I'm like, oh, that ain't good. What am I talking to? A muffled phone? So maybe I will be doing edited videos and different topics and stuff, but the whole point of that is consistent. I would like to think, I have a niece that lives 3,400, no, I think it's 3,800 miles from me, and she could see these videos and be like, oh, cool, it's my uncle, or anyone for that matter. I don't really have much family, but it's something that will always be in the cloud and just what I was doing at this point. I've been at a pretty hard point. I don't talk much about my hard. I like there to be resolve to if I've gone through something hard. I don't want to just say, you guys, oh, this is hard, woe is me. No, there must be some resolve, or what's the point? It's just I just have a platform for people to listen to my problems. No, once I get over these humps, as I've gotten over in the past, then I advance. Anyway, y'all, Happy 600th video. Hope this finds the right person. I don't care if it's just one. Y'all stay consistent.